Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to the No One Cares podcast. I'm Adam, and this is my buddy Jared.
Hi, how's it going? Hi, Jared. These are fun. These are fun. Are you having fun with these?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, this is great.
I basically get to have fun just talking complete bullshit.
Yeah. I work at a job all day where I work with old white people with money, and they kind of suck, right? So this is nice. Like this is kind of cathartic for me. I don't know about you.
I mean, it's the same for me. My job is quite similar.
Yeah.
Just in the sense of I get to play with glorified paper mache.
Oh yeah, that sounds a lot more fun than trying to appease old white people with money.
You would think that, but I'm trying to appease modern white people who think that they know what they're doing when they don't.
That's fair.
Wheel of random, turn, turn, turn. Tell us the bullshit that we shall learn.
Churn, baby, churn, churn.
Churn that beautiful butterfood. Hot takes. Okay.
Oh yeah, I've got a few.
I've got a couple as well. Like, okay. This was actually touched on a little bit in the previous episode where I was talking about Battleborn and Overwatch.
Yeah.
When these two games first came out, they first came out when I believe the whole MOBA thing was still relatively new.
Yeah, it was kind of new and exciting. A bunch of people were making different MOBAs at the time. That's true.
There was a bunch that had come out. However, most people will probably end up thinking that, like, Overwatch, like Blizzard's big game, was the one that came out first.
Nah.
That's not right.
It was actually... Overwatch, I believe, was more on the tail end. Like, Dota 2 came out before Overwatch did, didn't it?
You're correct. Dota 2 came out July 9th, 2013, and Overwatch came out May 24th, 2016.
Boom. By the way, sign up for our Patreon and you can hear me say shit like this. Mother. Sign up for our Patreon and you get our uncut version of this.
The uncut ultra red version.
Yeah.
But anyway, so
that means more than one thing, by the way. But yeah,
Gearbox, who are one of the people that came out with the Borderlands games.
Yes. Borderlands. That's not a MOBA though.
No, it's not a MOBA. Okay. But Gearbox and 2K and them came out with a MOBA called Battleborn.
Okay. So I've heard you talk about Battleborn. I didn't know Gearbox made Battleborn. I didn't know that.
People who made Borderlands also made Battleborn.
Okay.
And it's the same kind of animated style humor as Borderlands. With, of course, key differences and whatnot. And Battleborn and Overwatch came out at relatively the same time.
Yeah.
Battleborn was a little bit before Overwatch.
Yeah.
But a lot of people crapped on Battleborn. Blizzard had just released Overwatch, and Hi-Rez had come out with, I believe, Smite and Paladins at the time.
Oh, okay.
Along with a couple, and there were other games that came out as well. But Battleborn kind of got, in my opinion, kind of the short end of the stick, because, like, I got it when I got it from GameStop, because I bought my copy from GameStop, like
a physical copy.
Yeah.
What system did you play it on?
PS4.
Okay.
But, like, I had actually bought it a while after it had came out.
So, do you have any idea how many hours you put into Battleborn? How many hours you played it?
When I first got it, I'll admit I didn't put that many hours into it. I put maybe like a couple of hours at most.
Something triggered you that where you got into the game. Something clicked.
What it triggered me was I found people at work who also played it.
Yeah.
And they got me back into playing it because they were talking about Battleborn. I was like, oh yeah, I have that game. Just I didn't get a chance to really get into it. I've not had the time.
Okay.
And then
so your workmates kind of helped get you
and then
into it.
Some guys at work that I talk to and I hang out with still got me back into it, and I started playing the out of it. I loved the game. To this day, I still love it.
Yeah.
and I will still fight tooth and nail to say that Battleborn was better than Overwatch.
I mean, maybe. To be honest, I never played either.
Here's my main issues with Overwatch and Battleborn. The thing with Battleborn had substance.
Yeah.
It had a story you could play. There were interactions and dialogue between the characters.
Was there a campaign in the game you could play?
There was a campaign in the game, too.
Cool. Yeah, Overwatch 1 didn't have that, I don't think.
No, it didn't. If you wanted any kind of story...
Oh, Overwatch 2, I still don't think has one. I'm not sure. I think they're going to implement one.
They did say that Overwatch 2, they were going to bring in a story mode.
But it's not live right now, is it? I don't think it is.
I don't know.
I think they released Overwatch 2, and then a lot of stuff was broken, and I don't think I could be wrong about this. Again, I'm just off the cuff here, but I think the campaign is still not live yet, and Overwatch 2 has already been out for months. So Well, like Overwatch 1, if you wanted any kind of backstory, lore, or information on the characters, you had to go everywhere else but the game. That was kind of like Destiny. Destiny did the same bullshit. It's not a MOBA, but Destiny did that too, where they would tease you with this lore and story and stuff, but it wasn't in the game, and they would send you to like read random bullshit. I never played Destiny, but I heard a lot about it.
Oh, I guess the first Destiny was kind of like that.
Yeah.
But I know Destiny 2, I've played a little bit of Destiny 2, and it did a bit more actual storytelling. Like, you were more involved with the storytelling of it and whatnot, with the little bit that I played of it. But with Overwatch, the only place you were going to get any information on why you were doing that you were doing would be if you went to the Blizzard website, or you went and found these Overwatch comics that you had to find in very special retailers.
I don't know this, but I would venture to guess they outsourced that too. Like,
probably.
They probably outsourced someone to come up with that story. I don't know for sure, but that would be my guess.
That's what bugged me. Because, okay, I'm a lore guy.
Yeah.
I like for the games that I play to give me a reason of why I want to play it.
Yeah.
I don't really keep that opinion with like mobile games and stuff, because a mobile game is a mobile game is a mobile game.
Yes. So I have a quick hot take on that subject of like playing games that have deep lore and everything. Okay. There are a lot of From Software fanboys out there who say, oh, by the way, I love Elden Ring. Elden Ring is one of my favorite games of all time. But a lot of people say it has rich lore, it has a great story, and that's a pile of bullshit. Okay. Elden Ring is a game about building a character, it's about combat, and it's about exploration, and that's about it. There's a little bit of crafting in the game. It is not a game with a deep story and rich lore. There are some lore in the game, and there's going to be some people yelling at me. I don't give a fuck. Y'all come at me, bro. You know, it's whatever. But Elden Ring, I love the game. I've beaten it like 3 times now. I'm addicted to that game. But it has, like, its lore and story are weak as fuck. There's a little bit here broken. There's like a little bit of broken story and lore here and there. And some of it's actually pretty cool. But most of it is just sort of there, which I find kind of hilarious because they brought on George R. R. Martin to write some of the
Game of Thrones guy.
Yes, the Game of Thrones guy. They brought him on, but Ronnie's cool. Some of the characters are cool. Blythe is cool. Radon is cool. Radon's kind of story was all right, but they just did a quick little cinematic, and he's just sort of there in the game, and he rides this tiny little horse. The game is weird, okay? And the story, I'm sorry, the story is not cohesive.
Like, isn't there that one character that the whole let me solo her?
Oh yeah. That's what Elden Ring. Melania Blade of Mikella.
Yeah, that.
Yeah,
her.
She's probably the most infamous NPC in the game, and she's infamous because of one game mechanic. That is the waterfowl dance.
Yeah, that's the one where she like does a whole bunch of quick dashes.
Yes,
and then
if you don't have an answer,
of blades or something.
If you don't have an answer for her waterfowl dance, you're. I'll be honest. Like, I played the game with just like a weapon and a shield. I just pretty much blocked through it. Like you get hit a couple of times toward the end, but I mean it worked for me. But yeah, she's infamous for that one mechanic.
That's a lot of water, because there was a YouTube artist like a YouTube music artist that I listen to. He came out with a rap song for "Let Me Solo Her."
Oh my god, really? I haven't heard that.
Yes, the dude is bomb as. He comes out with a whole bunch of like game raps and nerdcore type stuff because that's what I've been heavy into lately.
Oh, nice.
Anyway, he came out with the song for "Let Me Solo Her," and I didn't know context.
Yeah.
Like, I thought this was a character that he himself was playing or something like he was memeing with for the video.
Yeah.
But then I kept reading, like, comments and whatnot. I'm like, oh, wait, this is a different guy. What is this? So I actually looked it up because I had to know. My hyperfixation had kicked in.
Let Me Solo Her is basically the new Giant Dad. Anybody who's like a Dark Souls veteran and who was on the internet when Dark Souls 1 was a big deal. You know, a lot of people online sexualize Melania, and it's... I get it. That's all I'm going to say is I get it.
Again,
cool.
JT Music, he's a great nerdcore artist.
Yeah, at first I was like, where's the rap? And then you were like, hold on, and then there it was right after
that. The singing was Adria Storm Caden, I believe is her name, or something relative to that. Again, I love their stuff. They do really good music. But so I wanted to know what Let Me Solo Her was, and that's when I found out, it's a guy who grinded the ever-living out of Melania.
Pretty much. And he became famous. He became like news famous because what he would do is he would make himself summonable to people who were going to fight Melania and needed help.
Yeah.
He would make himself summonable and he would just help people. And so that's what he really got famous for.
Yeah. And it was basically a thing of they would summon him and then he would basically take on Melania himself completely, more or less. And I will say, like, when it comes to, like, Elden Ring, Dark Souls, and all them, I can't play those games. Yeah. Not so much because I don't think they're good games, but, I mean, they are good games. I just can't play games, but I can't play games like that because I get agitated.
Yeah.
Like, when I continuously die on something, I get agitated real quick, and I don't like being agitated at games.
And you're not like you're not the only one. A lot of people just can't stand playing those games, and like, and no one can deny they're very technical games, like just straight up,
like straight.
Yeah,
and I mean they are good games. Like my biggest compliment for the Dark Souls games and Elden Ring and all them, the graphics and the artwork and the animations. Beautiful.
And you know, there's some people who disagree with that, so that's kind of a hot take. There's some people who disagree with that.
Oh, they're dumb. They're dumb. How can you not look at, like, okay, yes, some of the enemies in Elden Ring or Dark Souls look a little gorish or, like, really high fantasy evil kind of thing. But that's my shtick.
Yeah.
Like that's my.
It's a particular style, you know. It's a very deliberate style. Of
I mean, a lot of people. A lot of people also say that about Borderlands. A lot of people they might like Borderlands, but they don't like the art style of Borderlands.
Yeah, and here's kind of a hot take for me. I actually like the cell shader kind of games like that sort of style of animation, because that's kind of what Borderlands is, right? It's kind of cell shaded. That's sort of the art style. If cell shaded,
you mean like kind of comic book
a little bit, like the colors or like cell. I don't know how else to describe it other than cell shaded. But I actually I'm a fan of that art style art and animation a lot, as long as it's like done well. The game is fun, you know. It makes it looks great. Borderlands 2 is a great series. Borderlands 2 is one of the best games ever made. Yes. And I don't think that's a hot take. I think that's just sort of universally known.
That's a pretty well agreed upon notion.
For sure.
There are some people who kind of
all the DLC, all the DLC for Borderlands 2 as well. Now, I'm not familiar with Borderlands 3. A lot of people like Borderlands 3. I'm just not super familiar with it.
Actually, there is a lot of people who hate Borderlands 3.
Oh yeah, have you played it?
Oh yeah, I own all the Borderlands games.
Oh, okay. How do you feel about Borderlands 3?
I loved Borderlands 3 myself.
Okay.
Like, I have yet to find a Borderlands game that I just didn't like.
Yeah.
Like, there were certain, like, certain mechanics or certain items or plot points that I wasn't a fan of. But there's not really been anything in the Borderlands games that I've just hated.
Oh, yeah.
There was a DLC for Borderlands 3
Yeah.
that was specified towards one of the characters, Craig, who was a psycho.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah.
And this DLC basically had you dive into his mind.
Okay.
And you had to basically go through his memories, find out what it was that made him a psycho. Because, like, psychos aren't just insane people. They are literally their own, like, being in person. Like,
they're a thing.
Yeah, they're like their own separate species of person, almost, in Borderlands.
Yeah.
There were a couple of enemies that were in that particular DLC that were such a nuisance. And so you're going through Krieg's memories, and there are a couple times where you're actually fighting the members from the first Borderlands.
Really?
Because Krieg was a character that was introduced in Borderlands 2. He was a DLC.
Okay.
He was a DLC character.
Okay, that's why I'm having trouble remembering him, because I played a bit of Borderlands 2. I'll admit I never finished it, but God, I had so much fun with Borderlands 2. And the DLCs for that game were so good. But I have not played any of 3 yet. It is on my long list of games to play. Elden Ring. One hot take I have is I actually thought Malekith the Black Blade was a harder boss fight than Melania was. So there's an Elden Ring hot take.
So yeah, for me, one of my hot takes was the whole thing of Battleborn versus Overwatch.
Yeah.
I feel like Battleborn was a better game. I don't feel like it deserved to shut its servers down because of lack of play. Because one of the biggest complaints that Battleborn had...
like, lately there's been a lot of servers. I don't know if you've seen a lot of this, but a lot of games, live service games, are just shutting down left and right. I don't know if you've seen a lot of that.
I've actually not.
Oh my God. It's been pretty rampant. Like, people are just not playing a lot of those games these days. And so a lot of companies are losing out money. And so there's been a lot of games and servers shutting down lately because of that. So.
But, like, they shut down their... Battleborn shut down their servers, like... They shut down their servers, like, 2 years ago.
Were you an active player as they were shutting down the servers?
I wanted to be, but, like... my only tiff with... One of my biggest tiffs with not Borderlands, but, PlayStation multiplayer...
Yeah.
...is... To play multiplayer games, you had to be a gold access member.
You have to
You couldn't have just silver and play multiplayer with people.
Isn't it like $10 a month or something for the PlayStation?
Depending on which package you get.
Right, yeah.
I would try to do like the whole yearly subscription thing.
Yeah, okay.
Which was like $100.
Oof. Go ahead and pay it all, and then you're good for a year.
Yeah. So I would try to do that, but one of the last times that we had to renew it, we were in a tight spot that I couldn't just renew it.
Giggity.
And so, yes, also giggity. So I wasn't able to renew it, so I couldn't actually play the game.
Yeah.
And which made me sad. And like I had my main on Battleborn, Shane and Aurochs.
Okay.
Shane and Aurochs was my boo. They were my boo and my baby. Shane was basically this like 16-year-old goth punk anarchy brat.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
And Aurochs was this interdimensional alien that was bound to her.
Okay.
Through not his own will.
Right.
Like she basically tricked him into working with her.
Ooh.
And
she gaslit him.
Her whole shtick is she would send him with one of her abilities was fetch. So she would send him to go grab onto an enemy and drag him back to you, where you would then just start to pelt him with physical damage.
Oh, geez. Yeah,
I loved playing that character.
Nice.
Like my 3 favorite characters on that game were Shane and Aurochs, Arendi, the Chaos Witch. I love that woman. Ashley Birch was her voice actress.
Hold on, in Battleborn?
Yes.
Dude, that's like you had to tell me. I would have played Battleborn if I knew she was in it. Shit.
Oh, yeah. Ashley Birch was the voice of Arendi in that. And her voice lines are so great. I love all of her voice lines as Arendi. They are amazing.
Damn, you kind of...
Crawling through intestines.
I think we kind of buried the lead with that one. We should have led with Ashley Birch was in the game. Her DLC, Tiny Tina, you know.
Tiny Tina's Assault on Dragon Keep, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Damn it. Hated the dwarf level.
Yeah.
That dwarf level, it was a son of a...
Yeah, yeah.
God, I hated it. Because me and my buddy decided we were going to be dumb and we were going to go, like, almost the next hardest difficulty.
Oh, yeah.
On Assault on Dragon Keep. Mm-hmm. Basically, we went the difficulty that wasn't hardcore.
Oh, uh-huh.
And then I thought, okay, surely you can't get any worse than this. Then you get to the main boss.
It does. Oh, yeah.
Who has 4 stages of combat.
Oh, yeah.
4 stages of combat and 4 different summons for each stage. I'm like, what the
Yep. It kind of turns it into a marathon. Like, you have to just not die.
Oh my god! Like I can't count how many times I ran out of ammo.
Yeah,
I ran out of ammo.
Ammo is the thing.
God, it was so bad.
The guns are so beautiful in that game, and they're so glorious. But
yes, I love.
They're all limited by ammo. Every single one of them.
So that's hot takes on video games.
Yeah. Oh, I've got one too. So did you ever play the Dragon Age games?
Not really.
Okay. Dragon Age Origins, amazing. That's not a hot take. Then there was like Dragon Age 2. Then there was Dragon Age Inquisition. Dragon Age Inquisition was kind of mixed. Most people just straight up hated Dragon Age 2, and I totally get it. But I kind of have a hot take. I actually really enjoy Dragon Age 2. I understand what a lot of people's complaints are. Like a lot of the levels kind of repeat themselves. Oh, and my biggest gripe was there was a character in Dragon Age 2 named Anders, and Anders was actually introduced in the first Dragon Age game in a DLC called Awakening, and Anders' character in Awakening was great. Like, you come across him, and he's in the middle of murdering this Templar with fire. He's basically doing like a Burning Hands type spell to this Templar, and you come across him, and he just looks at you, and he's like, I didn't do it. And that's how his character is introduced. So basically, he's this quirky Templar murderer in the game. And he's interesting. He's great. I loved his character in Awakening. But in Dragon Age 2, he was in Dragon Age 2, but they completely changed his character in Dragon Age 2. And that was my biggest complaint, because in my opinion, he was very whiny, and he was very like politically motivated. His agenda, he had a very particular agenda in Dragon Age 2. For people who haven't played it, I don't really want to spoil it, but man, his character was just straight up not as interesting as his character was in Awakening.
Yeah.
That was my biggest gripe with Dragon Age 2. Other than that, I had fun with the game. So there's a hot take.
I was in terms of here's a hot take in terms of anime. Now, a lot of people might agree or disagree with me on this. I can't help but feel like the last half of Naruto Shippuden,
oh yeah,
and Boruto should not exist.
Well, I don't know about the last half. I would say,
well, not the last half, not the last half of Shippuden. My biggest issue was
the stuff that happened after the war.
No, okay. Well, yes and no.
Okay. My
biggest issues was for Naruto Shippuden, everything after the Pain arc.
Oh, yeah.
Was such garbage.
Oh man. I will say I liked some parts of the war. I liked several parts of the war. Yes. But the Pain arc was so good that it made everything else pale in comparison.
Well, here was my issue with everything after the Pain arc.
Spoilers!
Like, the Pain arc. You have this uber powerful ninja come in and just level Konoha.
Oh, yeah.
And forgive me if 100%. I say that name wrong. But, you have this epic fight. Naruto loses control. He almost releases the Nine Tails. And then you have touching, wholesome moment of he gets his moment with his mom and dad.
Yeah, his dad kind of comes in and saves him at the last second.
Yes.
As he's about to release the seal.
Yeah, and so you get that moment. Yeah. And that was like, oh. And then, all the other stuff, Hinata confessing to him. There were plenty of parts in the Pain arc that like I loved. I had a lot of fun with.
So good.
And there
The
were
pain arc was
parts
so good.
after the point arc that I was cool with.
Yeah.
The issues I had with things after the pain arc were all the different plot twists of who the main villain was.
Oh, yeah. That makes sense.
The main villain twists, and then realizing that certain people weren't as evil as they were supposed to be. And I swear, Kishimoto pulled this one thing straight out of his ass. In which he brings back Orochimaru.
Oh, yeah.
He
I
brings
thought that was
back
kind of bullshit.
Orochimaru.
Yeah.
He literally brings Anko back.
Not only that, but he made Orochimaru sort of a kind of like a pseudo good guy
when
they brought him
yes.
back. Well, in Boruto and at the end in the war too.
They basically made
that was weird. I mean, it was. I didn't mind Orochimaru, but I kind of agree with you. I wasn't completely sold on how they brought him back. Like, why is he still
I wasn't sold on
alive?
that. Nor, and like you said, I wasn't really sold on like. So I was brought back. So now I'm a good guy.
Yeah.
What?
Dude.
Huh?
Okay.
Only because Sasuke asked me to.
Yeah, that makes no sense. Sasuke was the one who yeah, whatever. Anyway, my favorite part of the whole war thing, that whole arc after that, there was a lot to it, but Naruto befriending the tailed beasts and sort of learning about them. And
that was
cool.
Boss.
That was
awesome.
Boss. Yes.
Like, I will fully admit that was a boss moment.
Yes, and like some of his interaction with like the Sage of Six Paths, that was very limited, but it ended up mattering a lot.
Yes,
because that's sort of what led him to.
All right, basically, in a summarized way, this was my big issue with like Shippuden, was that I feel like Naruto's abilities were underutilized.
Yeah,
because
especially Sage Mode. Sage Mode was my absolute favorite.
comes in.
It was so good.
And Naruto gets reintroduced.
Yeah.
And all he's really learned is better tactics with his shadow clones and a variation of the Rasengan.
Right.
In the 3 years that he was training with Jiraiya.
And they retconned a lot of that too. Like in later episodes, they would have these convenient flashbacks. Oh, do you remember back when Naruto trained with Jiraiya for 3 years and we never showed you all of what happened? Here's the thing we're shoehorning in that totally happened that matters now. They did that so many times.
And like, I get that Naruto's the lovable idiot.
Yeah.
But I can't help but feel like, especially in Shippuden, they played a little too hard into that.
Yeah.
They played a little too hard into the whole lovable idiot
that Naruto's
thing.
a knucklehead, basically.
Yeah, like he's the number one hyperactive knuckleheaded ninja. And I get that. And that was fine. I can't just help but feel like they played way too hard into that. Because, I mean, it even got to the point where, like, Tsunade and a bunch of the other higher-ups were debating on whether to send him on missions because of his one-track mind of, Sasuke!
Yeah. And
I'm gay for you, but I'm not gay!
You know, I thought Shikamaru was one of the best characters in that because he was the calm, cool, calculated, the very intelligent. He was the intelligent one, and he would just casually come up with like the brilliant plans. I think he was underutilized in the show.
Oh,
they should have had more moments of him coming up with brilliant plans and doing things. That only happened like a few times in the show, sadly. Shikamaru played a big role, but like his showing off his intelligence and brilliant strategic planning and stuff. Oh yeah, that was
Naruto is one of those shows where I will give them the credit of their side characters. They actually made me give it about. Like
some of them,
yeah, some of them.
Some of them.
Sakura
Sakura sucked so bad. She was so useless. Except for maybe like a couple of times, but like 90% of the time, Sakura was completely useless.
Sakura in Sakura in Shippuden was much more useful than pre-Shippuden. By far.
Oh, yeah, I agree with that.
Like, by far, Sakura in Shippuden was far more useful than pre-Shippuden.
I definitely agree with that.
Now, am I going to say that she was completely
She was still pushed away.
No.
She was still pushed away as a side character.
Like, and now, once the war started, that's when she started becoming truly useful.
Yeah.
That's when she started being like, okay, I don't have to hold back anymore.
Yeah. I wonder how many lives she saved during the war. Like, they never really talk about it, but wasn't she like the lead battle medic in the war? I can't really remember.
More or less, I believe.
She played a very important part as a battle medic, basically.
And then I was like, okay, so Naruto's over. Him and Hinata get together. Okay, all's well that ends well. Mm-hmm. Then comes Boruto.
Yeah. See, I've never seen any of Boruto because I sort of made a decision not to watch it.
You made a very good decision because, okay, all right. There are some things in Boruto that I do approve of. There are some cool things, like Konohamaru. They did a good job with him.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yes.
Shippuden, he was just annoying pretty much the whole time, except when he stood up to Pain. Like, to me, like, that was his one shining moment in all of Shippuden, and all of other Shippuden, he was pretty much just annoying.
Yeah.
To me.
But, like, in Boruto, adult Konohamaru is a boss.
Nice.
So, like, stuff like that, that's great.
Yeah.
They shafted so many of the other characters in that show. And the plot points and character developments of some of the other characters, especially the children, are so stupid. I hate Boruto. Like, Naruto's son, I hate his guts.
Okay, correct me if I'm wrong, but at a certain point, did the writers pretty much just give up on the kids and, like, just kidding, we're going to focus on, like, Naruto and Sasuke and shit now? Like, I heard that they did that, but I'm not really super familiar.
There was a moment where and do not quote me on this, because I have not really watched Boruto. I have basically, like, skimmed over articles and clips from YouTube and from what I've heard from my friends who have watched Boruto.
I might have to watch it at some point just to see for myself.
But I do believe that there was a point where Naruto and Sasuke were having their limelight moment.
Yeah.
And a lot of people have said that the reason that Naruto and Sasuke seem more underpowered than what they were back in, like, Shippuden.
Okay.
But the thing is, it's not so much that they nerfed them. It's just that Naruto and Sasuke are older now.
Okay.
They have more control. They have a better understanding of
how the real world works.
How the real world works and how far they can go before things get hectic.
Yeah.
They've learned better control.
They've learned their limits.
They've learned their limits and how far they can push something before things start getting bad. I still feel like Sasuke's a bit of a pansy.
Yeah.
And honestly, kind of a dick because...
Ooh. So in Shippuden, do you remember the scene where he went toe-to-toe with Killer Bee? And B...
I never got to see
Oh my god, B kicked his... That was so satisfying because I hated Sasuke's character. I hated him.
Oh, yeah.
But there was a scene where he and his little posse decided to stroll up, and they're like, we're going to take the Eight Tails. Like, we're just going to take it, basically. And that's when Killer Bee got introduced to the show. That was pretty much his first introduction to the show. Like, he had been referenced several times up until this point.
I love Killer Bee.
I do, too. He's great. But
Killer Bee is, like, my favorite character.
He kicked Sasuke's, all three of them. There was like a posse of Sasuke, and he had, like, two other people with him. It was Sasuke, or maybe three.
Suigetsu, and Karin.
Yeah, they were all with...
Yugo.
There was a point where he took all of his blades. He was holding two blades. There were blades under his armpit. He had one leg up with a blade tucked in it, and he had a blade in his mouth. And he was getting, like... He said it was one of his techniques or whatever. And I was watching this, I'm like, there's no way he's being serious about that. Because at this point, it was like, okay, this guy's kind of facetious. He's just with Sasuke. And then he proceeds to actually use that stance and that technique, and he demolishes Sasuke and makes Sasuke bleed. And I was jumping out of my chair. I'm like, yeah, that's what you get, bitch. I hated Sasuke so much. So that was very satisfying.
I'm probably not completely alone in that factor of my dislike of Boruto.
Yeah.
But I do still consider that a hot take, because there are still people out there who love everything to do with Shippuden and Boruto. And I'm just kind of like...
So on the topic of anime, did you ever see Attack on Titan? Did you see any of it?
I have seen... I've not finished the full season.
Yeah.
But I do know what Attack on Titan is. I've seen clips. I watched it up through...
Yeah, I've only seen the first 2 seasons myself.
I think I've probably seen up to episode maybe 8 or so.
Oh, okay. Of season 1.
Yes.
So okay.
Like,
oh my god!
Like again,
I love that anime.
I've seen clips
so
of
good.
the rest of the show.
Yeah.
Like the last I knew was Eren was kill the Titans, and then all of a sudden I was like, all the humans are going to die.
Right.
Okay, where the what?
Yeah. So I just saw a thing where I think they just wrapped up the anime, where they pretty much finished it, like it's over, it's done. I think
Really?
they just came out with the final episodes and stuff.
Huh.
So upon seeing that, it has motivated me to try to finish it. So I'm going to do that soon. Like I said, I've seen season 1 and season 2, but I haven't seen. I think there's like a season 3 and then like a season 4, and I believe that's it. There might be more. Yeah. So I'm going to finish that soon. I love that anime so much. It is like, I appreciate shows and movies and books that aren't afraid to kill off their main characters. That takes some balls.
Oh, yeah.
To just like in season 1 or 2, if you're planning on this long series, you introduce this really strong character and then you just have them brutally murdered by something. I respect that a lot when it makes sense. Like if you're if it's just for like the spectacle and just for shock value, not so much. But if it makes sense to what's happening in the story, like they just got fucking slaughtered. And Attack on Titan does that just about as well as anything I've ever seen. Not just anime, but in any books, movies, or shows. Attack on Titan does that very well.
Yeah.
Like, don't get attached to the characters because they gonna die,
Yeah. This is probably I'm not sure how much of a hot take this is, personally. But, okay. There is this webtoon, because I'm a avid reader of like the webtoons app.
Oh, there's some really good ones out there.
Yes, there
for
are.
sure. Very good ones.
But there was this one particular webtoon. I had seen it advertised so many times, and it was on my suggestions list for the longest time. There's a webtoon known as God of High School.
Ooh, okay. I haven't heard of that one.
The last couple of years, it's been made into an anime. And I read a good little bit of the webtoon because it kept being suggested to me. I kept seeing advertisements for it. I'm like, okay, I'm going to give this webtoon a shot. It's so heavily recommended, so I mean, why not?
Yeah.
It's like the #1 spot in like martial art and shonen webtoon, so let me try it out. I'm going to see what it is.
Right.
It was pretty good. Like, it was pretty good for the first part.
Oh, okay.
Then it started getting to the point where it really started becoming overly redundant and playing heavily off of we can't do anything without our main character.
Yeah.
And I hate those.
Yeah. Where you have to have the main character do anything. I'll be honest with you, that was one of my biggest problems with like Dragon Ball Z.
Okay.
Is like they always had to rely on
Goku.
There were so many situations where if Goku wasn't there and functional, like nothing was happening. Yeah. It's just like the villains are just holding the other characters hostage, basically. That happened more than once.
Yeah.
But anyway.
But like, okay. There are #1, in the first part of the whole show, you didn't know who the main character was.
Right.
Like they made it out to be that I think his name was You think he's the main character at first, and so you're thinking that him and his 2 friends, who are a girl swordsman and a guy karate expert, you think they're the main characters.
Yeah.
Further on the story, they're kind of put on the back burner for everyone else to become the main character, and then you get further on, and it's like, oh, we're this corporation that you think is evil, but we're actually not evil, but we are evil in the sense that we are evil, but we're not as evil as the people who are actually trying to be evil. What?
Mental gymnastics in anime.
And that was like, people will think I'm exaggerating, but that's how it read out in the webtoon.
Oh, I believe
like, these people who were basically a legit underground secret organization people who were more or less trying to run the Korean government under the Korean government's nose.
Oh, that's like the underground people in Naruto and in Naruto Shippuden, the people that Danzo was ahead of. It's like them, but
because of Konoha's roots.
Oh, okay. That's kind of what that reminds me of.
But like, and then you find out, oh, there's this other organization that's actually working against their organization, and they're made out to be this really nice and charitable and hospitable organization, when in all actuality, they're actually the bad guys. Just like we're a hospitable and charitable organization, but we're actually the good guys.
So they were
we're the bad guys, but we're still the good guys.
They were the bad guys that had a very thinly veiled ruse or guise, I guess. It's like, we're totally not the bad guys.
Kind of.
But we totally are. But we're totally not, but we totally are.
I stopped reading the manga because I finally couldn't take it. Like,
You couldn't take it seriously
I couldn't take it seriously. Yeah. I couldn't understand what was going on. And, like, I kept reading because, okay, surely something is going to make sense. Surely something in this hodgepodge of martial arts references, something's going to make sense.
Yeah.
It never did.
Never does. Nope.
Like, and they literally took the whole, like, Journey to the West thing, the whole Song Wukong thing, because apparently is...
Song Wukong?
Yeah, Song Wukong. Yu is basically in some rebirth of Song Wukong or some shit, and, like, he was defeated by heaven and the archangels and sent back down to Earth to basically be punished, only for him to be rebirthed by his followers and all this other bullshit.
Okay. And seems like a lot.
This dude was trying to put so much into so many characters. And, like, okay, another thing that he introduced later on, like, he kind of was doing a Dragon Ball Z type thing at first. Like, he had the God of High School starts off as a martial arts tournament for high schoolers. Number one. Number two, he gives them these wristbands that basically measure their power levels. Okay. Like, your power level is 1, 2, 3, so on and so forth.
Etc.
So, again, Dragon Ball Z.
Yep. It's over 9,000! Yeah.
And everyone's at, like, 5, 6, 7. Like, I think the highest might be an 8.
Yep.
Or something. And then something happens, and Yu gets pissed off, and he goes to attack this one guy, and he reveals his power level at being 13.
Oh, wow.
Which is, like, 10 higher than what it was supposed to be, or whatever.
Oh, he was supposed to be like a 3.
Like a 3 or a 5 or something, I don't know.
Huh, okay.
And so, this is the plot line for the story for a bit. And then you get all your other characters introduced, and then you find out that there's this other magical ability called, like, partners, or some kind of spiritual partners or some shit. Where basically you can take mythological creatures or historical figures and use them as, like JoJo stands. More or less. But the way that they were being used was complete garbage.
Oh,
There were 2 characters specifically that were so dumbly executed. Like, there was this one kid who was, like, all about anarchy, revolution, blah. His stand character, whatever, was Jack the Ripper. And at one point, his power gets taken away, and then he overcomes whatever it is that's sealing his powers away, and he gets them back. And Jack, and the persona of Jack the Ripper is like, now do you see, we must work together in order to be able to achieve what it is what we need to do. Ha! Whatever, man, I did that by myself! His powers are gone again.
Okay.
Then why give him his powers back in the first place?
Yeah, you got me, bro. I don't know.
And then there's this one girl. She's this one of the main girl characters, and she's like this swordsman. She comes from a long line of family of swordsmen who practice this very deadly fighting style. But she's treated like Sakura in the entire show.
Always on the back burner.
And it's not like by choice. She is going through it and trying to fight. She isn't being like the whiny, hey, someone save. No, she's the one who backhands the person who tries to save her, only for her to get shit stomped. At one point, she reveals who her little stand person is as Lubu. Okay. Who, for those of you who aren't familiar with the Romance of the Three Kingdoms, Lubu was the that as soon as he came onto the field, you ran. But Lubu is basically one of those dudes, like in Chinese mythology, he was a feared, like he might not have been like the smartest person or the grandest strategist, but he was one of those brute strength motherfuckers.
Yeah.
Who, like, when he came onto the field and you saw him on his horse, you ran the other direction.
Or you gonna die.
Pretty much. As soon as she reveals this, what happens? She got stopped. And I'm like, are you kidding me?
So what was the point of hyping her up and everything, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, he'll go through and hype up all these characters, and then next panel, oh, look, they're all dead.
See, I guess that's what I was talking about with character deaths, is you want them to matter. And, like, especially important characters. If it's just for the spectacle, like, ooh, they're dead, haha, gotcha. Like, that's, you know, that's not interesting or entertaining at all. It's just sort of, like, makes you roll your eyes, like, why am I reading or watching this again?
Pretty much. And, like I said, it could potentially be a complete translation error. Or maybe I missed something and I'm just not understanding the big picture of the show or something.
I have a feeling you got the gist of it.
I tried so hard to get into this because it was so popular. I was trying to understand why it was so popular. Yeah. But I kept reading it and reading it and reading it. And I'm just like, I can't. I'm done.
Some of the most popular things are not the best. Like that seems to be a trend, in my opinion. Quick random offside hot take. Favorite soda of all time.
Favorite soda?
Yes, favorite soda of all time.
Mountain Dew.
Just plain Mountain Dew, or do you have a variant?
Mountain Dew is the most varieties. I would probably say top 3 would be Mountain Dew, the original, Code Red, and Lavoir.
There you go.
And then Pitch Black.
A&W root beer. This is going to be strange. Fanta. Yeah, I don't really... any Fanta, really. Strawberry or blueberry, whatever. And this is kind of a hot take. I prefer Pepsi over Coke. So that would Pepsi would probably be my third.
I'm okay with Pepsi. Like, if that's what you have, I'll drink it.
Most people don't like Pepsi.
My issue with Pepsi is, like, anytime I've tried to drink Pepsi, all I get is suds. All I get is the carbonation. I don't get much liquid.
To me, I find it more flavorful than Coke. Like, Coke is almost, like, I don't know. That's just my taste, and that's subjective. But that's the fun thing about hot takes, is you get to pick what you like.
Yeah, I got one for movies. Will Ferrell's not that funny.
Oh, I think a lot of people would agree with you. Although
you'd be
it's
surprised.
more universally agreed that Amy Schumer is horrible. Like, that's like the universal. Everyone agrees that Amy Schumer is just not funny. Will Ferrell, like, yeah.
Okay.
I don't know.
Here's my thing. Will Ferrell, like, don't get me wrong, his Saturday Night Live stuff, I think it's funny. I don't think he's not funny in the sense of he's, like, not funny in any sense. Yeah. Like, he does have a good sense of humor. And I do like some of his stuff. But he's not as gut-bustingly hilarious as what most people like to make him out to be.
Okay.
Like, growing up in my high school, Will Ferrell was going through his big movie break of, like, the Talladega...
Oh, Talladega Nights?
Not...
or whatever it was called. I know what you're talking about.
The movie with Ricky Bobby.
Oh, dude, he did one with him where it was like Sherlock Holmes. It was I didn't watch it, but I knew about it. And
I saw the advertisements for it.
No one should support this. It's so stupid.
Nope.
What an insult to Sherlock. Which I mean, is probably the point. Is let's just make fun of something people like.
Yeah,
I think is stupid.
Then, like, there was Talladega Nights.
Yeah.
Then the other one that people thought was just the funniest movie of, like, the century. There's actually 2 of them.
Elf.
Elf, but I actually like Elf.
I've never
Elf
seen.
was okay.
Here's a hot take. I've never seen Elf.
The 2 movies that were, like, for my high school career was voted, like, the funniest movies to ever exist.
Yeah.
Napoleon Dynamite.
Oh.
And Step Brothers.
Hold on, Will Ferrell was not in Napoleon Dynamite.
No, he wasn't in Napoleon Dynamite.
Okay, I was about to say.
Napoleon Dynamite was, again, one of those movies where, like, everyone loved it.
Oh,
everyone thought Napoleon Dynamite was the most funniest golden comedy to ever come out during that time. And I'm like...
Nah, okay. It thrived on that dry humor, but I thought a movie that did dry humor much better than Napoleon Dynamite, in my opinion, this is maybe a hot take, was Nacho Libre.
Yes.
Nacho Libre had
Yes.
had a similar comedy style to Napoleon Dynamite, that just sort of dry humor where I'm just going to stand here and say and make a silly pose or whatever.
I hated Napoleon Dynamite, and I hated that it was such a popular movie.
Tina.
It's a food, Tina. It's a food.
Yeah, Napoleon, give me some of your tater tots.
No, man, I'm starving.
Bow to your sensei. Bow to your sensei.
And just
Yeah,
I could do the bits, but I hated doing them.
Right, you did not like the movie.
There was a point in health class that I think we were about to start going over like the reproductive systems and like anatomy and whatnot. And instead of going over that lesson, my health teacher was like, "Okay, we're gonna watch Napoleon Dynamite."
What does that have to do with health?
Absolutely nothing, because we were going over anatomy in a Christian, non-Christian school.
Did you know when I was in junior high in either the 8th or 9th grade, they rounded all of us up. It was like a bunch of 8th and 9th graders. They rounded us up, put us in the auditorium, and they thought it was a good idea for us to watch The Patriot in like history and civics. So there was all these 8th and 9th grade kids that watched this. Like, I'm sorry, The Patriot is not a movie for kids. You do not show The Patriot to kids. That movie is brutal. There was a time when all of our 8th and 9th grade history and civics teachers thought, you know what? The Patriot is a great movie. Let's round all these kids up and have them watch it. But something even worse, in 9th grade, my 9th grade history teacher made all of us watch, it was so awkward. It was Schindler's List.
Oh my god. Wait, what?
Yes, 9th grade students. And here's the best part. At the time, it was on like the tiny square, big, cube like TVs back then. On the parts where the women were going into the gas chambers, and so like there was full frontal nudity for the women, he would awkwardly take a piece of construction paper and he would walk in front of the TV and like move it up and down to like put it in front of the boobies. My history teacher did this, and I'm pretty sure he still has his job today. So, welcome to America, everybody.
Oh my god.
What's your least favorite Marvel movie? Least favorite?
Love and Thunder.
Okay, mine is The Eternals. Love and Thunder is pretty bad. I would agree with you. But The Eternals is the only Marvel movie that I could not physically finish. I got about a quarter of the way through and just turned it off.
I've still not seen The Eternals.
Don't waste your time. Do not waste your time. It is bad.
I feel like trying to watch it just in the sense of the completionist in me.
Sure.
But
the other thing better is buckle up and grab you a drink or something.
The other thing is also bad. They said Dark World for Thor was a bad movie.
I actually enjoyed Dark World.
That was me.
I didn't hate it.
I actually liked Dark World.
Yeah.
But a lot of people say that Dark World was...
It's not one of the best Marvel movies, but it's not anywhere near one of the worst, I don't think.
Oh, no. Again, and I've stated this before, but I feel like the reason the Eternals did as bad as it did was because no one besides hard Marvel comic book fans know who the Eternals are. I feel like they would have had the Eternals would have had a better shot if they had done it like a Disney Plus series type thing, where you would kind of get to like introduce who the Eternals were,
She-Hulk and all that.
Yeah, you were able to slowly introduce them and actually explain the story in a series versus an 2-hour movie.
Yeah, that might have gone over better.
Again, I have nothing against Will Ferrell in a personal way.
Yeah. I just don't think he's funny.
I just don't click with his humor as much as I do other people's humor.
Yeah,
like I am more, and a lot of people will kind of look at me oddly, but I'm more of a Jim Carrey guy than I am a Will Ferrell guy.
I am too, and I know a lot of people who despise and don't like Jim Carrey. Jim Carrey is one of my favorite comedians. Yeah, like movie comedians.
Yes,
like him in The Mask. Oh my god, mwah.
If I ever had a chance to cosplay as The Mask at a convention, I would.
Best Loki ever, by the way.
Yes.
So, those who didn't know, Jim Carrey's kind of technically Loki. So, there you go.
Loki? Who's Loki?
The Norse god of mischief.
Yes. Do you have a least favorite Spider-Man actor?
Least favorite?
Yes.
Is it? Not really.
Not really. Okay, this is
I
gonna
like
be a
Tobey
hot take.
Maguire. I never actually got to see the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Andrew Garfield is my personal least favorite. However, I thought he was great in the new Marvel, the latest Marvel Spider-Man. Oh, what was that? No Way Home.
Yeah.
I thought he was great in No Way Home, but in the Spider-Man movies he was in, there was just the two of them. Oh, man. I didn't like his character because to me it just did not feel like Spider-Man. It did not feel like Peter Parker. It did not feel like Spider-Man. Just his behavior, and I know they wanted to kind of change things up and do things a little bit differently, but to me he was my least favorite.
The thing with the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man was like his portrayal actually is pretty common core in like a certain iteration of Peter Parker.
Okay.
Because the Spider-Man that he was based on, I think was... I could be getting this mixed up, but... The Amazing Spider-Man is what I think he's being based off of.
Yeah, and I think that was the title of the first Andrew Garfield movie, wasn't it? Was just The Amazing Spider-Man? Wasn't that the title of that movie?
I think, maybe. And I could be getting it wrong, because I think I have heard that the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man is what was based on The Amazing Spider-Man. And that the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man was what the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man was supposed to be.
Man.
I will say, I have wanted to see the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man just because, like, the first movie, the one scene that, like, killed me, like, cracked me up was, oh, God, my one weakness, knives!
Yeah.
Come on, guy.
There you go. In the Spider-Man world, I'm really sad because Venom is my favorite sort of Spider-Man villain.
Yes.
He's by far. Just the fact that he's sort of a symbiote and just the way he operates, he's really interesting. But I did not like the Venom movie, the one that's out. It was just like I thought the writing sucked. Yes. Now, I don't have anything against Tom Hardy. I think Tom Hardy's a great actor. I just didn't think the writing in Venom was very good. Like it was, it just didn't hit with me, and I was disappointed because I love Venom as a character.
With I think with the I've not seen the Venom movies. I want to. Yeah. Like I plan to see them at some point.
Yeah.
Sooner or later, I'm going to find a way to watch the Venom movies.
I just want to see a good Venom movie. That's really the point I'm trying to make.
Yeah.
I still have hope that one day they're going to make a really good Venom movie. One day.
Well, we basically covered hot takes for video games, movies, some just random hot takes.
And we might do this again in the future if we come up with more.
Yeah.
You know. We do these off the cuff. You know, we're shooting from the hip here. So.
All right. Well, thank you all for joining us on another episode of the No One Cares podcast.
Yes.
We hope you enjoyed, and if you'll do us the biggest favor of going ahead and clicking the follow or favorites or share this with your friends, family, even your dog or cat or whoever it is that you happen to be living with.
Yes, all the social media stuff. And if you want this uncensored and in the extended edition, we have a Patreon. It would be awesome.
Extended.
That's right. All right, bye.
Y'all have a good one.
Bye-bye.